Hello, YouTube land. Check your clocks because it's amateur rubber time. Welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Hopefully this will be the final episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, because in the last episode we were, I think, Emma was like spotted as a murderer or something. I really can't remember because I am like super stressed right now with this game. Especially this case in particular, because every time when I try to record this finale, it always like messed up for some reason. That means I had to do this case over at least 4 times from the beginning, and I'm just so sick of it. So I really can't tell you what happened last episode because I am so strewn with this case finale part. I want to get it over with. That's all I want to do. So hopefully we can do it this time and just try and pray. Hope that I can get through it, because oh my god. So you know what to do, guys. Leave a like for Phoenix Wright, leave a like for Capcom, leave a like for Damon Gant. Oh my god. I'm just gonna go through this because I've done it so many times. I practically know what happens. So, but I'm gonna do the voices, of course, because that's the most interesting part to me, is voicing this game. So, let's see here. Let's just jump right in. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. That is a lie, because he had something in his safe. A jar fragment and a list, I think, or a handprint, so objection. Let's do it. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that is a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's that blue badger you showed us earlier. A piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was actually found inside your desk. It was found where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof that you also played a part in this illegal investigation. And now the jury's angry. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Huh. He is a defense attorney who may even rival Worthy. So you admit to it then, that you were involved in the forgery. Who, me? What do you mean, you? Me? Why would I have anything to do with that? Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Was it, my boy? Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. Yes, well, in light of the detective's presence, please give us your testimony regarding these pieces of evidence found in your office, and their relation to the forgery that took place at the crime scene. My, kids these days no longer know how to put 2 and 2 together. Alright, so, witness testimony, evidence, and forgery. Let's see what he says about this. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planned them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Doc was convicted, then they're worthless. There's no reason I participate in a forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Okay, so I already know what the statement is, so... Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? When investigating the crime scene, you should have been more careful to observe protocol. You do understand that I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Indeed, I believe I'll press charges, so you won't make the same mistake again. My apologies, Chief, but would you mind waiting until tomorrow for that? Today is, well, you know. All right, Udgy. In return, though. I know. That place, right? Huh? What are these guys, telepathic? But the game does crack me up. At least I can be happy about that. Okay, so this is the statement. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Why? Hold it. Really, Chief Gant? At the very least, there's one very large benefit you reaped from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What is this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh, The resolution of SL9 incident secured your promotion to chief. That in itself is sufficient motive.
Oh, that's a good one.
Huh?
Do you really think I'm that incompetent?
What do you mean?
Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a bit.
Is that true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway.
Be careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at.
So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Is that true?
Don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There's only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Jay, would you mind if I change my testimony a little?
By all means, please do.
Okay.
I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there wasn't nothing in it for me.
Press it again. Why? Nothing in it for you?
Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you better think again.
You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone.
To be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised.
You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though.
Oh, that's a good one, Worthy.
Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? He would have helped someone out. It's pretty obvious. True, you might not help anyone for their sake, but if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone.
Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand.
That's not what I mean.
Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence?
Obviously, Lana Skye.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye? The defendant?
I believe it's quite obvious in light of the circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would also have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit.
Self-profit? What do you mean?
After the SL9 incident was resolved, Lana Skye was appointed chief prosecutor at the prosecutor's office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant.
But how would he profit from all of this?
He would be able to use the chief prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would acquire unchecked authority over all investigations.
Do you mean to tell me that despite the chief's formal appearance, he plays with puppets?
That's a no, Judge.
Oh wait, you mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind.
Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive to appoint her as chief prosecutor so you could control her.
Righto, my boy, you have quite an imagination. Let me ask you something.
What?
Do you have any proof of this, that I control Lana? For example, is Lana testifying I've done such a thing?
Lana, she's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant.
I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture.
Unless, that is also what happened in this incident.
This incident? Which one would that be?
Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor has been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone has been controlling her. True.
Worthy, you better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Just what do you mean?
What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, but the chief's now making Lana take the rap to cover up for his involvement.
What?
So now they just pin the crime on Gant.
Order! I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious.
Huh?
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement
Law enforcement urgency? What does that even mean? Sorry.
This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. to accuse the chief of police of blackmail and murder? Impossible!
Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edwards said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. It looks like he's the one who's decided to go through with this.
Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer on the law, is involved in this murder?
Good question. Regardless of his rank or title, Chief Gant is just a man. The question is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell.
I see. Alright then, let's see what Mr. Wright's got, and it better be good. Show us this evidence that ties Chief Gant to the murder of Detective Goodman.
It is the ID card record.
This is the ID card list.
Yes, the one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 7777777.
Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number.
It's your number.
What? How do you know that?
The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open, a 7-digit code.
7 digits? You don't mean...
I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 7777777. The same as the remaining ID card number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. Uh-oh, here comes the music.
Order! Order! Chief Gant, what do you have to say?
Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations.
And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now, this court demands an explanation from you about the use of this ID card.
Chief Gant, but do you admit it? You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime?
What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom, what's the difference? I can go anywhere I want.
Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone?
I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do in the evidence room.
Detective Goodman wouldn't have happened to be with you on that day, would he?
Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days.
You hadn't seen him in days. Chief Gant, I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman.
What do you mean? This trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt.
No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting?
In that case, Mr. Wright, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. Show us the proof that the victim went to meet Chief Gant on the day of the crime.
And that will prove is this. Goodman's lost item report can only be submitted to the Chief of Police. Take that. Detective Goodman lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He would have had to give that report to the Chief of Police.
Yet you are in possession of the report, which means you can't be sure if he filed it.
I always think that says filled for some reason. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day.
He needed to?
Yes, to transfer the evidence out.
Oh.
Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room.
I accompanied him?
There's no other way the murderer and Detective Goodman could have entered the room. See, now they're getting suspicious.
Hold on, let me guess what you're gonna say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered Paul Goodman.
Exactly.
But wait, the chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card.
Yes, now that you mention it, I believe I might have done something of the sort.
Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was only used once, yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you had really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body.
No!
Now we're getting them.
Chief Gant, you didn't.
The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office. Why? To dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course.
You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How did he manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony.
Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the chief of police. You have an entire police force at your disposal.
Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey, you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so.
Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was just a useless clue just taking up space.
How could the chief have moved the body? Mr. Wright, show us this evidence.
To move the victim's body, Chief Gant used this. He used the screwdriver. This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body.
What's that? A screwdriver? But what does that have to do with this case?
Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here?
It's here because... I was asked to go, by Chief Gant no less. He told me he wanted me to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here.
Because Gant told him to take that screwdriver for him.
After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office.
But you did, because Chief Gant asked you to.
You mean
The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened.
The body was moved by that car.
Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car.
Yes, unless of course you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. Ooh. And he's not saying a word.
Order! What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal for the defense's outrageous accusations?
Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took at the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. It was exactly the opposite. It is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk.
Chief Gant, please say something.
I believe your time's up.
My time's up?
Sorry, Rado, but I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We had to get going if we're going to make it in time for the early bird special.
But the cross-examination isn't finished yet.
Remember what I told you earlier? A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal.
Weapons?
Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right now.
What? There is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away? Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now.
Well,
You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with.
I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Well, Mr. Wright?
Your Honor?
Do you have any concrete proof? Proof that Chief Gant murdered Detective Goodman and made Miss Skye dispose of the body?
Do I have any concrete proof? We're gonna have to say we do not have proof. It's no use showing evidence. I'm not even sure of myself. No, Your Honor. At present, I have no conclusive evidence.
See, Archie.
In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief.
What?
Here's a tip. Never gamble what you can't afford to lose, Rado. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again today. Okay, Archie, I'll leave the rest to you.
And there he goes, off to go get him some Buffalo Wild Wings. That early bird special.
I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency.
Ah! Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her.
Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean?
There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this trial. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. A lady who knows the truth. Another witness. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. But Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse to testify. There's still someone else, one more witness who can answer all the questions raised in this trial. Someone right in this very room.
Mr. Edgeworth, who is this person?
Why are you asking me, Your Honor? Have you forgotten? The defense is the one calling witnesses today.
Mr. Wright, does such a witness exist?
She may not be willing to tell the truth, but we can't just stop now. Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls forth Miss Lana Skye.
The defendant? Miss Lana Skye?
She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 p.m. on February 21st. Her task to dispose of the victim's body, in accordance with a certain someone's orders.
Mr. Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections, Your Honor.
Very well. The court will now take its final recess for the day. In 15 minutes, we'll reconvene to hear the defendant's testimony. This court is now in
Hold on.
Huh?
Oh yeah, he's back. I forgot. He shows up again.
Chief Gant, I thought you were going out to eat.
Listen good. Excuse me, that wasn't it though. Remove that from your ears. Listen good, Lana.
He's talking to Lana.
I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder.
This isn't good.
Of course, you never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. All right then, I got a lunch date to meet. Gotta eat me more of them wings.
Okay, if there aren't any further objections, this court is now in recess.
Alright, now we are in recess. Get your school playing stuff. No, not that kind of recess. Keep forgetting.
Looks like we managed to stay in the game.
Yeah, thanks for your help, Edgeworth. Gumshoe!
That chief, he's something else, eh, Bills?
Detective Gumshoe!
I'm not a detective anymore.
Oh yeah, sorry about that.
Don't worry. I've already decided where to wait now. At your office.
My office?
Sure, I'll take the place that top-knotted girl you used to work with.
Could he mean Maya?
Still, looks like we're all out of moves now. Chief Gant's done it again. How's he always get the upper hand?
It's not fair. He has the right to refuse to testify.
Settle down, Wright. Remember what the judge said.
But Chief, that is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered.
Risks? What do you mean by that?
It's simple. If the chief refuses to testify, then opposite also holds true.
You mean he forfeits his right to say anything too? And Emma! God, I feel so bad for her right now.
Emma, are you okay?
Yeah, when I came to, I was in the medical office. I've been listening to the trial from the gallery.
So she heard everything that's been going on. Emma, I'm sorry for what I said before.
No, don't be. It was the truth. You know, it's funny. I almost feel somehow relieved.
Relieved?
Yeah, now I finally know what really happened. To think that all this time, my sister was being blackmailed by that terrible man. And she did it all, just to protect me.
Ever since her appointment as chief prosecutor, everyone who knew her says she changed. Perhaps it was easier that way for her. What do you mean? What do you think I mean? To follow Chief Gant's orders, she must have shut herself up deep inside, to force herself to do anything and everything the chief told her to do.
That must be why she became so cold.
It was all my fault. It's all because I murdered Mr. Marshall.
Hey, don't go blaming yourself now. If you want to blame anyone, blame society, Bill.
Chief Gant may be able to fool everyone else with his forgery, but he can't fool my memory. I remember now. I knocked Mr. Marshall into that armor.
I see.
Well, we better get back. It's time for the final leg.
Emma, why don't you wait here? No, I'm going with you. I want to be there when Lana tells the truth.
Let's go, Wright. It's time to end this.
Alright, hopefully we can. To be continued. That's just one part. Now we just gotta get through the other part. And then we'll be home free. By golly boy. Let's go. February 25th, 2021.
Now then, will the defendant, Miss Lana Skye, please take the stand?
Here she is.
Miss Lana Skye, you are the chief prosecutor. I'm sure you're aware of what is required of you.
Mr. Edgeworth, you already know everything. You know all that I've done these past 2 years.
Please provide the court with your testimony, Miss Skye. And remember, you are under oath. We want to hear the truth.
Of course, the truth. Lana, no matter what happens, I'll always be your sister.
Now then, your testimony, if you will. First, tell us about your relationship with the Chief Gun.
Everything hinges on your testimony. You're the only chance we have to get Gant. So Lana better work with us or he's home free. Gant in the fabrication.
I worked alongside Gant for years. There's no truth to this blackmail theory. I fabricated the evidence 2 years ago all by myself. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. My only motivation was to get Dark convicted. It had nothing to do with Emma.
Okay.
Are you sure about this testimony?
Your Honor, I'm confessing to a capital offense. Of course I'm sure. But Lana!
If this is true, then that means Chief Gun has nothing to do with this.
That's what I've been telling you from the beginning. Please, Mr. Wright, you've got to help her. She's sacrificing herself because of me.
But what if she's telling the truth?
She's not. I know my own sister. Whenever she speaks stiffly like that, she's hiding something inside. Deep down, she's really screaming in agony.
Yeah, this is no time to start second-guessing myself.
The defense may now begin the cross-examination.
Alright, so I know what to do here because of the many attempts I had to get back to this part. Oh my god. So, the statement is, this one. When I found Prosecutor Marshall's body, I rearranged the crime scene. Hold it. Why did you do that? You say you did this all by yourself.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us what you found when you arrived at the scene crime? At the scene crime, please.
It seems I was the first person to discover the scene. The broken prosecutor award knife was stuck in the victim's body.
What? We'll never be able to get that out of our mind. But Prosecutor Marshall died from an unfortunate accident.
That's only a situation you dreamed was possible. The reality is it wasn't my sister who took the prosecutor's life. Fantasize all you want, Mr. Wright, but I'll never change this statement.
You mean Prosecutor Marshall wound up being killed by Doc?
Something like that.
If that is so, what happened to the other murder weapon? Doc was carrying a switchblade knife.
Oh, that was lying on the floor a little distance away. It was probably knocked away in the struggle.
That's not how it went down. She's trying to cover up her lies with more lies.
All just to protect me.
So when you found a scene like this, what did you do? After all, this is what everything boils down to.
Yes. I broke off the tip of Dark's knife, planted it inside the wound, then moved the body.
Press it again. What's going on?
You planted the tip of Dark's knife in the victim's wound?
And then you moved the body?
But why? Why would you do that?
You of all people should know, Edgeworth. You've always had a good head on your shoulders.
My head isn't that bad, but maybe I ought to ask for the sake of others. Why did you move the body?
When you showed up on the scene, where exactly was the victim's body? It was just where you deduced it was, by Chief Gant's desk.
But the body was found by your desk. Why did you move it there?
The reason for that is simple.
Let's have the witness explain this in more detail. The reason Miss Skye moved the body.
The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan.
And that's when we get her in the lie. Cause this is, where's the jar at? Right here. If
Final fragment found in Chief Gant's safe. Emma's written on the surface in blood. This was not broken prior to the crime, so objection. Miss Guy, I understand how you feel. You committed that crime 2 years ago to protect your sister.
You mean the forgery at the scene where Neil Marshall was murdered?
If that truth were to be exposed now, the past 2 years of your life will have been in vain. Even so, I am compelled to bring to everyone's attention a significant contradiction within your testimony. A contradiction? In my testimony? You testified, and I quote, "The pieces of the jar that shattered during the events threatened my plan." That's right.
Do you have a problem with that?
It's a simple oversight, really. You see, a message was written on this jar with the victim's blood. Yes, the prosecutor must have written it in his final moments. Exactly so. And this is where the contradiction lies. In order for the victim to be able to write the message on the jar, it must have not yet been broken before he died. He couldn't have written Emma's name on a shattered jar.
Order!
Your Honor, it would appear more information is needed in regard to this jar and this bloody message. We may be missing something critical here. Something critical? Chief Prosecutor, it seems you're as in the dark as we are about the truth towards which we're headed. What? Just tell us exactly what you saw. We'll piece together the information to arrive at the truth.
Very well, the witness may now continue her testimony.
Alright. More is getting squealed out of her. Jar and message in blood. I immediately noticed the blood traces on the jar, but it was dark in the room and I didn't have time to check it out. To be safe, I wiped away the blood. The fragments were large, so I'm sure I got them all. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered.
You mean you are the one who wiped away the message in blood?
I wasn't chief prosecutor at the time. She didn't think Dark was the real murderer. That's why she tried to erase the real evidence.
Very well, the defense may now begin the cross-examination.
Okay, so now we know the statement on this one that caught her dead in her tracks was this one. All I could think about was wiping them clean before they were discovered, but that's a lie because the blood traces was literally written in Emma, which is her own sister being convicted of the crime. That can't be I just can't think about it wiping it clean. Objection. Miss Guy, I believe this jar conceals a truth even you are unaware of. What? We found the final piece of this jar in Chief Gant's safe. In the chief's safe? But how? I knew it. She really didn't know. There's something even more disturbing about that final piece. There was still blood on it.
But the witness just testified that she gathered every last piece and wiped the blood off them.
Yes, which leaves us with only one explanation. On the night Prosecutor Marshall was murdered, you were not the first one to show up on the scene. Chief Gant got there before you.
But couldn't the defendant have simply missed a piece?
I'm afraid that's unlikely. The pieces are too big for anyone to miss, let alone an ace detective.
That may well be, but everyone makes mistakes. Even I once wasted an entire day looking for my dentures. They were in my mouth all along. Oh, can you believe that?
Have you forgotten, Your Honor? When this witness arrived at the scene, the jar was already broken.
Oh,
There's no way a name could have been written on the shattered jar. Another person discovered the scene prior to the witness.
I hope you're not implying this person was Chief Gunn. At the time, he was looking for Doc downstairs. Besides, even if he was there first, why would he break the jar?
The question is, if he did arrive there first, why'd he hide that fact for 2 years? Well, Your Honor, can you answer us that?
No.
He's the killer. The judge is the killer.
Wait, I'm not the one on trial here.
Damon Gant arrived at the crime scene prior to the witness. He proceeded to break the jar and purposely hid one of the broken pieces. Question: what is this action called? Fabrication of evidence.
But why would Chief Gunn do that?
In light of what happened afterwards, isn't it clear?
What happened afterwards?
Discovering the scene, Lana Skye believes her sister Emma killed the victim. Determined to help her sister, she sought Gant's aid. Lending her his aid, Gant helped her create evidence that incriminated Doc, sparing Emma, and therein lies the reason. The reason why Miss Skye became the chief's puppet.
Ooh, she bit her thumb so hard she bled.
No, I did it on my own. Please, sis, stop trying to protect the chief. I can't watch you suffer anymore for my sake. No, you didn't. It wasn't you, Emma. You didn't kill anyone. Don't believe anything Mr. Wright says. Defense attorneys pick up the most foul lies to defend their clients.
Foul lies? Imagine that coming from my own client.
I guess you do seem the type who likes to twist the truth.
Wait a minute. What if we're still smack dab in the middle of Gant's trap?
Is something wrong, Mr. Wright?
Lana, maybe right after all.
What do you mean, Wright? So you do tell foul lies then, Mr. Wright?
Miss Skye, please testify once more.
But if evidence was fabricated behind your back, then Emma's accidental killing of Prosecutor Marshall might also be a lie. But I do remember knocking over Mr. Marshall.
Miss Skye, if you will.
I can't.
There's nothing to be afraid of anymore. This cross-examination may not change a thing. However, there is a possibility that it will, if you tell the truth.
Very well. I'll testify about what I really saw.
Alright.
Alright, the witness may testify once more for the final time.
Okie dokie. Here's Lana's final testimony.
Actual crime scene. When I arrived, I found Mr. Marshall's body impaled on that suit of armor sword. Emma and Dark were lying unconscious on the floor nearby. When I saw that what had happened, I thought she did it. That's why I erased all the evidence that linked her to the murder. I had Chief Gant help me remove the body from the sword and carry it. But if it all really was a fabrication, Emma might be innocent.
Which is probably the case.
Unbelievable! The body was impaled on the armor's sword.
If you were the only one who saw that, if only you had proof. Actually, I do have proof. I gave it to Mr. Wright just this morning.
What? To me?
It's a picture I took of the crime scene as I encountered it. I thought it might be needed.
But I don't remember receiving a picture like that.
Lana must have known. See, Mr. Wright, she really does have faith in you.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please present this picture.
I don't remember receiving any pictures from Lana.
Lana said she gave it to you this morning, right?
I seem to remember getting something from her then.
Let's check that evidence again. There must be a picture in there somewhere.
So what they're talking about is this book that I got in the last episode, I think. And if I turn the back and open the book,
I get the picky pick.
Hey, there's a picture here.
Oh my. This is the actual crime scene. No other detectives saw the crime scene like this, because I contacted Criminal Affairs only after I rearranged everything.
Alright, now we got more stuff in the court record.
Mr. Wright, that piece cut out from his vest. Could that be?
The cloth we found inside the Chief Gant's safe. What's this?
This is a handprint, isn't it? That cloth, it had fingerprints on it. Whoever fingerprints those are must be the real murderer.
What? But those fingerprints, they're yours, Emma.
Why are your lips turning bald purple, Mr. Wright?
Anyway, let's get on with the cross-examination. So long as you tell the truth, we should be able to flush out the real murderer.
Very well. The defense may now begin the cross-examination.
Okie doke. Actual crime scene. Let's examine. Oh, I can't do anything. Hold it. I couldn't press any buttons. It was going by itself. Gant is back.
Come now, Udgy. This is the poorest excuse for a trial I've ever seen.
Chief Gunn.
What, now you want to make me out as a bad guy too? If so, I'd like to put in a word or two in my defense.
I'm afraid it's too late for that.
What?
You already declined to testify. That means you forfeited your right to make statements of any sort. This must be that risk we were talking about earlier. Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the sound of the noose tightening around your own neck.
So what? You think I'm worried? Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't need to make any statements.
What do you mean?
The evidence will do all the talking for me. Even if I can't testify, I can still present evidence.
Yes, that's true. Wait, you mean you still have some conclusive evidence?
No, I don't. But someone does.
Someone?
So, what's your excuse, Rado? Why have you been keeping quiet about it? You do have something to show us, right? Something that proves who knocked over Near Marshall causing his death? Conclusive evidence that leaves no room for doubt?
Is this true, Mr. Wright?
If I show that piece of evidence now, Emma's sure to be made out as a murderer.
Mr. Wright, if you have any more evidence, present it now. And if you try to conceal anything, you will be the one appearing before the Board of Inquiries.
What do I do now? I better think this through carefully. I can't afford to make the wrong decision. Should I present that piece of evidence? The one that shows who really killed Prosecutor Marshall? We're gonna say no. Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
What? You lie!
Chief Gaunt?
You opened my safe. I know you took what was inside. The conclusive evidence.
I don't know what you're talking about. Mr. Wright, why don't you show them? We found it together.
Oh, I see. It's because you know the truth, don't you? You know whose fingerprints are on it. That's why you won't present it.
What are you talking about, Chief Gaunt?
Can't you figure it out? Take a good look at this picture. See the victim's vest? Notice anything odd about the chest area?
It looks like part of it's been cut out for some reason.
You mean you had this in your safe?
What? That means you, the Chief of Police, have been concealing evidence. This is going to be the biggest scandal in the history of the police department.
Impressive. To be honest, I didn't think you had the gall, Rado. Well, I can't just let you pin me up as the murderer. I'll tell you what really happened.
What? You mean you admit to it?
Okay. So now he's gonna admit to something.
I was the first person to arrive at the crime scene that day. It then occurred to me that I could use the situation to control Lana.
So you really were manipulating her?
I knew Lana. If I made it look like the blame lay with her sister, that when she saw the scene, she would ask me for my aid.
So you assisted Miss Sky?
I told her to arrange all the evidence. I had her plant the knife tip in the victim's body and move the body across the room.
And I ended up using that evidence to get Joe Dog convicted.
When I tampered with the crime scene, I hid 2 pieces of evidence. This was before Lana arrived at the scene, mind you.
2 pieces of evidence? You mean those items in your safe?
But why?
For insurance. Of course.
Insurance?
I was sure my plan would work, but it's always best to be prepared for the worst. I wasn't about to let anyone blame me for a murder that girl committed.
You mean you were calculating that far ahead while forging the evidence?
What do you take me for, a fool? I didn't make police cheat by dumb luck. See this jaw fragment? I hid the most legible part of Emma's name. I didn't expect Lana to go and wipe the blood off all the pieces.
But if you fabricated all the evidence, what's to say you didn't fabricate the message on this jar too?
Ho, ho, ho. Some people just don't know when to quit, do they? That's why I kept one more item for insurance.
You mean that piece of cloth?
Come on, Rado, cough it up already. I know you have it.
What are you waiting for, Mr. Wright? So you admit to it then, Chief Gant, that you were hiding the cloth you cut off the victim's vest in your safe.
Yes, I admit it. I didn't want to have to do that, being chief and all. It's a lot better than being portrayed as a murderer.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say for yourself? Just a moment ago, you said you didn't have any evidence you could present.
Foolish move, Righto. You should have shown it then before it was too late.
It's been a long battle, but the moment of truth has finally arrived. As long as I don't mess up here, victory is mine. Show the evidence. Your Honor, I do have evidence to present now.
Alright then, let's see this conclusive evidence. The evidence that shows who actually murdered Prosecutor Marshall.
So now we can present this baby. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of the victim's vest.
Oh, yes. At last you finally brought it out into the open.
There's a handprint on this piece of cloth.
Your Honor, the prosecution requests to be immediately sent to the lab for analysis. This handprint on the leather, there must have been a strong impact for it to be left so clearly.
You mean?
It could have not been forged. It must be authentic, conclusive evidence.
You're as slow on the uptake as ever, were they?
What?
Think about it. Righto had all this time to present this evidence. Yet he was reluctant to do so. Why would that be?
You mean you already know? You know whose fingerprints are on that? Mr. Wright, do you really know?
Whoever the fingerprints belong to must be the real murderer. Whose fingerprints are they?
Very well. I'll tell you. It should be okay now. Everything's proceeding as predicted. The person to whom these fingerprints belong to is, obviously, Emma Skye.
Emma Skye?
What? They're mine? I'm sorry, Emma. But why? Why didn't you tell me?
Oh, you're really something, Righto. You knew this girl did it all along and you still tried to pin the murder on me.
So it's true. Tragic but true. This girl really did shove Prosecutor Marshall to his death.
Hold it. How could you? You monster!
Miss Skye.
You knew whose fingerprints were those all along, yet you acted like she really didn't. Miss Skye, it's not over yet. What? I said this trial isn't over yet.
Ha! But I'm afraid it is over, boy. Not only this trial, but your career, too. You purposely concealed this conclusive evidence. That, my friend, is a serious offense. I'm looking forward to pressing charges after the defendant is convicted. I'll have your badge, boy. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Aren't you gonna tell us how it feels? How it feels to be the one who single-handedly turned a poor little girl into a murderer?
Before I do that, there's just one little thing I have to clear up.
Oh, and what's that?
Who really killed Prosecutor Neil Marshall?
Well,
Chief Gant, you are absolutely right. This piece of cloth proves who the real murderer is. Who killed Neil Marshall, you ask?
it was Emma Skye, wasn't it?
I'm afraid that's not possible. You see, this piece of cloth contains a critical contradiction.
What? A contradiction? What is this fool babbling about?
I'm talking about a contradiction. One that proves who the real killer is.
Mr. Wright, this piece of cloth, what could possibly contradict?
Chief Gant, your tyrannical reign ends here. Behold, the piece of evidence that contradicts this cloth. It is the picture. This one.
And what exactly is this supposed to be?
This is the picture Miss Skye took. Take a good look at it. See where the piece of his vest was cut out?
Yes, his shirt is showing underneath. It's hard to make out with all the blood on his vest though.
Exactly my point. His chest is soaked with blood. That's only natural. His lungs no doubt were punctured. Blood poured out of his mouth.
Oh, but that piece of cloth.
There's no blood on it.
Wait, there's no blood on it.
Ugh!
Since Emma Skye's fingerprints are on this cloth, there's no doubt she shoved the prosecutor aside. However, Mr. Marshall was not impaled on the sword at that time.
No, this is nonsense.
Now then, Chief Gant, let me ask you something. Prosecutor Marshall was not impaled when he was shoved aside. He most likely hit his head on the ground and was knocked out. If so, then tell me, who could it have been? Who could have arrived at the scene before Miss Lana Skye, picked up the unconscious prosecutor, and impaled him on the armored sword? Then to make it look like Emma was responsible for the prosecutor's death, said person proceeded to write her name on the jar with the victim's blood, a jar that they then broke on purpose to leave behind a clue, and make Lana believe her sister did it. Remember what you admitted only moments ago? That you personally cut out this bloodless piece of the victim's vest? Ironic, isn't it? Though the very act of creating insurance, you prove that you were the actual murderer.
No!
It's finally all over. Objection! Now Gant's all sweaty.
Oh, that was close, Righto. You almost had me. Sorry, but you'll have to do better than that. I refute your allegations.
What do you mean you refute his allegations?
You see, that piece of cloth is illegal evidence.
Order! Order! What nonsense is this?
Illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a suspect. Remember, Udgy. Earlier, old Righto here concealed that piece of cloth. So then, what's your excuse, Righto? You do have some conclusive evidence, don't you?
Your Honor, I don't have any evidence I can present at this point in time.
Well, that's true. The defense did refuse to present evidence.
At that moment, that piece of cloth ceased to be legal evidence.
But that's not fair.
Did you actually think you could best me in court? It looks like the last on you, son.
I'm afraid Mr. Gant's claim is legally correct. Well, Mr. Edgeworth?
True, illegal evidence cannot be used to convict a person, assuming, of course, that the evidence is indeed illegal.
Well, Mr. Wright?
It seems, at last, the time for me to reveal my plan has finally arrived.
Mr. Wright, do you admit to it? That you purposely and illegally concealed this piece of cloth?
I did not. I admit I refused to present it at one point.
So the evidence is illegal.
No, it isn't, Mr. Gant.
Huh?
It's not that I didn't present evidence then, it's that I couldn't.
What do you mean you couldn't?
There are certain procedures involved when presenting evidence.
No, Udgy, don't listen to his lies. He's nothing but a coward. You can't really believe.
There is only one issue left to be resolved in this trial. Is this evidence legal or not?
Very well. Let us settle this once and for all. Earlier you refused to present evidence. If you can prove your conduct was not in violation of the law, then do so now.
And here is the final pop in this thing. Evidence law. This is my proof, Your Honor. Evidence law.
What's this?
I've done my homework too, Chief. Indeed, Emma Skye's fingerprints were on this piece of cloth. However, at that point in time, this was merely a piece of cloth, nothing more.
What?
You see, it's written right here in this book. The second rule of evidence law. Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. I found this piece of evidence myself, inside your safe. It goes without saying I did not have the approval from the police department. Rule 2. A registered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. And here's the crew of the matter. You see, at the time it was impossible for me to prove the relevance between the cloth and the SL9 incident.
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You want relevancy? Just take one look at this picture and...
Sorry, but can you recall when was that picture presented?
That was shown only a few moments ago.
No.
He's right. At the beginning of today's trial, that piece of cloth was still meaningless. The person who gave it value as evidence was you, Damon Gant. You yourself confessed to a certain truth. Let me verify this once more. On the day of the crime, you personally cut out this piece of that victim's vest.
Oh, yes. No.
It was then that you approved this cloth as conclusive evidence. Yes, you, the chief of police, personally approved this cloth. The only person who could have cut this from the victim's vest is the one who stood before Prosecutor Marshall in his final moments. In other words, the real murderer. And there's only one person who could that be. Damon Gant, the killer, was you.
Got him. Hopefully we'll just be good.
I knew I should have gotten rid of him.
And he should have got rid of Marshall from the beginning.
That good-for-nothing scum. For 2 years he's been snooping around the department trying to get something on me. Crimes are being committed every day, yet he insisted on hounding me.
Well, your crime wasn't exactly petty.
He wanted to reinvestigate the case. He recruited Angel Starr, then convinced Bruce Goodman.
Detective Goodman?
Yeah, that's right.
If the evidence is transferred, I'll lose my only chance to find out the truth. Please, you've got to help me.
Goodman turned him down, as he oughta. Still, Jake Marshall didn't know when to quit.
He stole Goodman's ID card and tried to take the evidence.
Goodman came to me that day. He wanted to file a lost item report. I went with him to the evidence room. Then all of a sudden, he decided to speak out. What are you talking about, Goodman?
Can you please reopen the investigation, Chief? We can't transfer the evidence out. There are too many questions left unanswered.
He opened his evidence locker and he was taking the evidence out, he said.
It's not too late. I'm gonna hand this all over to Marshall.
Well, to be honest, I was a bit taken aback by his words. I had a bad feeling when he came to see me, but I never thought he'd bring up SL9. That's when I saw it. That accursed knife.
And stabbed him.
I could have just pulled it out.
Doing so would have only led to more blood, making it impossible to hide your crime.
Even so, the blood was just pouring out. I didn't know who might stumble in, so I hurried to wipe it up. I was worrying so much about the floor, I didn't realize my fatal mistake.
The bloody handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
I used to be known as the crime computer, but everyone has to start somewhere, I guess. I was too nervous. I had no business doing any of it.
Then you put the body in my car.
I'm sorry, I couldn't think of any other way to move the body. I broke your trunk, but what's the big deal? You make a lot more than us detectives ever will.
Leaving the prosecution's car aside, how? How could you get Miss Sky involved in all of this?
Well, since she hadn't much to lose, if I did it, the truth came out.
So you took the evidence from Detective Goodman's locker.
I felt bad having to do it. I also didn't have the time to pick and choose what to take.
So you left the jar of fragments in the glove.
Yeah. It looks like I was better off being an investigator of crimes than a committer.
This water tastes great.
They all did their best to get in my way. I gotta hand it to them. They do their jobs well, much to my dismay.
Fake evidence doesn't hold up very well upon close examination. You must have known that.
Tell me, Worthy, why do you stand in court?
Me?
You despise criminals. I can feel it. You and me, we're the same. One day you'll understand. Oh, believe me, you will. You're just one man. You'll see what it really takes to bring them down once you try to go it alone.
And that's the confession. Gant is the killer.
Well, looks like it's time to say goodbye. Oh, Udgy.
What?
Looks like we'll have to cancel that lunch date. Sorry, old friend.
I'm sorry too, Damon Gant. I knew you as you used to be long ago, You were once a fine investigator and an example to others on the force. I'm sorry to learn that you are no longer that person.
Those days are gone now, Woody. Thanks for all the memories, though. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Now you have Wright here. And Worthy, with these two round, you can't go wrong. In fact, I can hear them already. The melodious sounds of a new beginning.
And he just claps his way out the courtroom. Huzzah. There are two things I want you to understand. Yes, first, your sister never hurt anyone. Second, Damon Gant betrayed you from the beginning. You see, Miss Sky, you no longer have any reason to keep silent. You're right. When this trial is over, I'll tell everything. All that I've done these past 2 years. From the time I had Gant help me forge evidence up until today.
So, it seems all the questions raised in this trial have been unanswered.
I'm sorry, Miss Sky. I couldn't get you out of all your trouble. My. What high standards you have for a rookie. I can see why Mia thought so highly of you. Who knows? A few years from now, you just might make it to the top. And then she actually smiles. I owe you my thanks, Mr. Wright. Miss Sky. And to you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You suffered every bit as much as I have over these past few days. Believe me, I know how much of an ordeal it's been for you.
It was nothing.
Liar. I was worried the pressure might break you. And yet, you rose above it all to guide Mr. Wright to victory. You've done well, Mr. Edgeworth.
Stop it! I only did my job.
In light of this case, it seems a good self-examining is in order for all of us. Miss Sky,
Yes, Your Honor.
you are innocent of murder. However, although the chief blackmailed you, the fact that you still acted as the accomplice is a trial will be scheduled for these crimes at a later date.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Is there something amusing about all of this? Why are you smiling?
It's been a long time, Your Honor. A long time since I felt free of these heavy chains. And there you have it. Oh my god, dude.
Well, this trial has gone on far too long already. Regarding the charge of murder, this court finds the defendant, Miss Lana Sky,
Not guilty. Ugh. Every time when I get to this part, it's just so heavy, so heated. I'm sweating again.
That is all. This court is adjourned.
And you know what? I'm going to leave it off here. I'm going to put it like a two-parter for this finale. I've been trying to do that ever since. So I will see you then, maybe in the part 2 finale. And hopefully we get this over with and done, because it's been too long. I've been doing this case so many times. It needs to end now. So I will see you then. Amateur out for now.